when I open that book, when I revise it, as soon as I see my own symbols, my own markings, my own whatever, even if it is the stain of your food somewhere there, it will bring back memories. It will help in revision. It will help in state dependent memory is what it is. So whether or not you spend time memorizing, if you have had exposure to a book, if you have had considerable time invested in any notes, go through those notes quickly. Even if you don't go into the details, visit those pages, touch those books again. You might not realize, but a lot of the memory which you would have had when you were studying in a much more relaxed manner will come back to you. Obviously, it goes without saying that we are not to be studying new subjects right now, because it is too late for that and we need to consolidate and revise naturally. Now, you will be studying and revising mostly a lot of current affairs, and there will be compilations, I am sure you will have in your possession. You will have various notes of various subjects. Although prelims is sometimes very factual, and the options in the MCQs can be very hard to discern, and they can be very tricky and very close. And one may get the feeling after seeing any previous year question of prelims that all the attention should be on the detail, and that if you miss the detail, you are not going to clear the exam. This is not true. Yes, some questions are very minute and very detailed, but many of them require conceptual clarity, and conceptual clarity can help in elimination. Most of the times, you will probably not be getting the exact answer of the question directly, and that's normal. You will probably know something or the other about one or two options out of the 4 options. And having conceptual clarity will help you interlink, it will help you intelligently guess at times. Intelligently guessing will be facilitated, and so will your probability of eliminating the right option. Most of the questions and the score that you will get will not be because you knew the question or you knew the exact answer. Some portion you will know, but most of the score that you will end up getting will be because you eliminated the right ones. So that, having been said, will help you. So what is the final week run-up? For the final week run-up, it is my recommendation, and when I give these recommendations, when I walk you through this plan, I would like you to remember that you need not worry about doing everything. Okay, I will recommend a plan, and if you have a plan in place, and if that plan is working for you, then you should follow that plan and not change it just because of something which I have suggested. I will suggest some reasons for my plan when I go into the details. You can take those ideas, you can use them to benefit you, but there is no need for you to completely upturn your own strategy, especially if it has been recommended by your mentors, by your teachers, and it has been working for you. So with that caveat, let me begin. You know that more than 50 to 60% questions in the prelims are going to be based on current affairs. Some of them may be direct from current affairs, from what's happened. Some of them may touch upon something theoretical about current affairs. So for example, it is likely that you will have a question on the James Webb Telescope. It was a very important event for the scientific community. It is possible that you will have a question or two about some new policy. Perhaps it is a recent bill which has been passed. Perhaps it is the criminal identification bill. I don't know what they will ask, but I know that they will certainly focus on current affairs. And when you revise current affairs, you will know and understand that there are many linkages. So current affairs, in most cases, is nothing but either dynamic economics or dynamic geography or dynamic polity. So all the government policies which you are encountering, all the important laws which have been passed, all the important debates about governance or about any policy, or about, say, for instance, the issue immigration, the issue of immigration and the issue of citizenship, the amendments to that bill, etc., are all just dynamic economics and dynamic polity. Now, obviously, you cannot go back into the roots of those subjects and start to read those subjects again. But current affairs, you really need to focus on, and it is something which I will recommend that you do every day to the run up to the exam. Every day, I would recommend, if you have whatever, let us say you have 10 hours or 5 hours a day to contribute to give. My recommendation would be around 30% of the time, 30 to 40% of the time should be given to current affairs every day. So that means if you have 10 days, if you have 10 hours, and when I say have 10 hours, I mean the amount of time that you are actually studying, not the amount of time that you are planning to study. That's different. There is always a difference between what you plan to do and what you actually end up doing. So if you are actually investing, in fact, a better way to frame this fundamental idea is this: what is the total number of hours you studied last week? Approximately. Calculate it. Let it be a rough estimate. Maybe it was 30, maybe it was 40, maybe it was 50, 60, whatever. That will be roughly the same number of hours that you will invest this week, roughly. Divide that by 7, that is your average amount of realistic self-study which you do every day. Let us say that comes out to 5 hours or 7 hours a day average. So that means you have around 1.5 to 2 hours. If it is 5 hours, you have 1.5 hours, which is 30% of that, to invest in current affairs. Current affairs will be voluminous because obviously I am sure you will have those current affair compilations, those monthly compilations you would have had. In any case, since it is voluminous, current affairs is the most voluminous part of the entire syllabus which you will have. And I would recommend that you distribute it and give it a couple of hours every day. And as you distribute it, make sure you go through everything. But if you encounter something which you have not read it with a calm mind and don't expect that you will be able to memorize everything. That's fine. That is normal and that is what is supposed to happen. If you're doing this, it would mean that you will get about some time or at least 5 to 6 or 7 hours at least worth of current affairs preparation in this week. Okay, and it is likely that out of those 6 to 7 hours of current affairs dependent preparation that you will get this week, you will get around 5 to 10 to 15 questions perhaps. 15 is a very good number if you get directly, but you should be able to get some questions directly. Questions in current affairs might be very, very fine-tuned, very direct. They can ask sometimes questions about some policy or something, or for instance, the beneficiaries of a new scheme, and they can have those criteria listed there. And you need to figure out what the criteria are. At times, there are questions which are as detailed as that. But even otherwise, focus is on current affairs. Just to recap what I have said, focus is on current affairs. We are doing 30% of the time each day investing in current affairs. We are breaking it up into around 5 to 6 parts, the whole of current affairs, trying to revise the whole thing. When we encounter something new, we are trying not to feel very pressured about it. We are just reading and feeling and just absorbing information as much as possible. That's what I have said about current affairs. Now comes the remainder of general studies. There is something which I like to call as static heavy subjects, SHS, or whatever you would like to call it. These are history, geography, polity. Why are they static heavy subjects? Because they contain what is otherwise known as general knowledge, just a lot of information and data about the world, which you need to know. For example, the revolt of 1857, the uprising of the Indian National Army, the role of Subhash Chandra Bose, all of those details, they don't change. Those details are static. Same with geography, especially physical geography, where the lakes are situated, what is the golden quadrilateral, what is the internal mechanism of railways, where are the main centers of the railways, where are the main ports, Are there new ports under development? All of these general information-based things, which animals are in the IUCN red list, which animal has been put, which animal has been recently removed, which monuments have been declared as heritage sites, etc., etc. All this static detail I am including in the static heavy subjects: geography, economics, polity. They are heavy, and by heavy I mean voluminous, and contain a lot of factual data as well, a lot of map work, a lot of information about various features of Indian geography, especially in physical geography. You must hold in your mind. You need to know where the only active volcano in India is. You need to know the impact of the Tonga volcano, etc., etc. All of this, I am sure, is in your current affairs section. That is not at all something to worry about. The idea is in the first few days of this week, so tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that, should, in my opinion, is best invested, ideally, in these static heavy subjects. I will tell you why. Obviously, current affairs is ongoing simultaneously because, like I recommended, 30% of the time every day you are investing in current affairs. That said, static heavy subjects come first. How to approach or figure out CSAT math? Now, in my best analysis, if it is a problem for you, then it is worth investing in. Sometime you have to, obviously, but not too much. If you are, say, you have done engineering or you have recently had exposure to math, and I am assuming that by this time CSAT math is sorted, I don't think it requires much revision, because if you know math, you know math. If you don't know it, you just don't know it, and that's it. And it doesn't matter much because you just need to qualify. You don't need to top this CSAT math portion. What to do if you feel underconfident? What to do about CSAT math at this stage? I would say solve 2 or 3 papers of the previous year question itself, so that your muscles of mathematical reasoning start to get polished. If you don't know how to solve speed and time problems, for example, very typical problem in CSAT math is if A does something in 5 days, B does something in 7 days, how much time will they take to do it together? Something like that. If you don't know or understand how to solve these questions, now is not the time to start. It's okay if you don't know it. Whatever you do know, make sure that you solve 1 or 2 questions of each so that you are comfortable enough. Okay, and you yourself will have to judge whether you know enough and whether you think it might be an issue. If it is an issue, give it half a day. Give it half a day, get it over with, and remove CSAT math from your list of priorities or your problems if it is one. CSAT English, same. I don't think that many of you would have a problem in CSAT English, but if it is going to be centered around, your problem is going to be centered around reading comprehension. Reading comprehension, also a bit of practice. If you are able to solve 2 question papers of English CSAT of the previous year questions of prelims, I think you will be fine. Now we come to history and what to do about this massive, voluminous, static heavy subject. First of all, manage your expectation and don't worry, don't feel anxious about having not known all the history. Nobody knows all the history. It is simply too vast to spend time in, especially ancient and medieval. Modern, certainly, yes, and it is something which you need to know at least to some level, because there will be a few questions from it. If you are to invest time in history, it is best invested in either art and culture or in modern right now. I don't think it is the time to start reading medieval history at this point in time. I don't think it's a good idea. Remember that you have no more than a day to read. What I would do if I was in your situation is I would compile all the things that I have read or seen in history over my preparation. I would quickly go over it, very quickly scan the whole thing. I would not stop to read much, but I would definitely take a look at everything. Then I would choose what to read exactly, and I would invest my time in art and culture and modern. What I would do in art and culture, recommended, what I recommend. Again, I will recommend a source, but please don't worry about and start reading about the source if it is not familiar to you, because no new material. I recommend the CCRT website, and it contains a very good list of art and culture, and it has a section for literature, Indian sculpture, Indian temple architecture. All those things are listed, and not too much information is there. One can go through it in a matter of a few hours. If you wish to do that, you may do that for art and culture. But even art and culture is not as important as modern history. That is fundamentally important. Obviously, it is important because you need to know about history, because you're going to go into the services, the Indian government. You can't understand the system without understanding where the system came from. So you need to have some idea of it. That goes without saying. But exactly how much and from where? My recommendation is simple: either Spectrum or Bipin Chandra. If you're going to spend time, either Spectrum or Bipin Chandra. Both of these books are too big to cover in a day. You cannot cover these books in a day. It's not possible. You can skim through them. You can skim through them. If you have read them before, and if you have put some pointers or side notes or some underlining, it will work really well. But here is one thing I would definitely do. I would pick up the Bipin Chandra or Spectrum book, and I would read every subtopic listed, and I would skip the details. There are subtopics, the emergence of Dutch powers in the 17th, 18th century or something. That is a subtopic in the NCERT. You may have various other subtopics, reasons for the revolt of 1857. I would not necessarily read all the reasons or all the points. I would go through all the subtopics once, and I would try to capture as much information as possible. But as the day would end, and I know that my time for history is over, I cannot spend or invest more time, I would have the discipline, although that is easier said than done. I myself did not have that discipline many times, to put the book down at that time. You have to make sure you are thinking like an investor. You need to get the maximum bang for the buck. Your goal is to pass the exam. Your goal is not to learn everything in history. Only one goal. That goal is to clear the exam. That's it. And the exam is not about history. History will appear in it. It's about many other things. So let's focus on the things which we know are going to get us something. And the reason we have listed history before the other subjects is because it's not worth investing way too much time, because you will probably, even after spending a lot of time, not get all the questions, because it's simply so vast. It's too vast to capture everything in it. So we'll do what we can. We'll figure out the basic authoritative sources. We'll go over them once, and we will move on. We will move on to geography. Here, we will focus on the static part to begin with. And I would recommend physical geography, and a very simple and good source of physical geography I find to be NCERT, physical geography. And if you don't like that source, or if you have other sources, then do go over those. Whatever it is that you use for geography is what you should be revising at this point. I would go over all the maps. I would go over all the static part. I would not worry about the current and dynamic part. The economic geography, I would not worry about too much. I will obviously encounter it when I read the economic survey. I will obviously encounter it when I read the policies in the economic sphere of the country. Economic geography is nothing but the way the economics of a country works. Economic geography and economics are almost the same thing, almost. What are the rates of unemployment? What is the cash reserve ratio if the RBI is increasing it, decreasing it? Although that's hardcore macroeconomics, but in geography, in human geography, almost all these topics overlap with what is economics. So I would not focus on human geography because I know in economics I will read those things, and when I go through the details, I will have some encounter with them. I will focus on the static parts of economics. I will focus on the factual parts. I will focus on the things which I am likely to forget. I will focus on names. I will focus on locations. Then I would come to polity. And this is a big one, obviously, very voluminous and very, very fundamental and central to this exam, because it is the job you are applying for. So there is no way you can become a Indian civil servant without understanding Indian polity. It's the basic mandatory requirement, in fact, because it is the system that you are going to enter. You have to know what the system is. Just like a pilot needs to know how aerodynamics works, you need to know how polity works, because you will become part of that system sooner, very soon, sooner than you realize. In that, what will you exactly do? Again, because now we are in the beginning phases of our week. Right now, I'm on day 2 or day 3. Okay, and that would be Tuesday or Wednesday, approximately that time. I would like to go through all the important articles. I would like to go through all the important schedules. I would not worry about the dynamic part of polity, obviously, like I mentioned, because it will already be ongoing with my current affairs. But 30% of the time I am giving to current affairs as I go along. I will focus on what I am likely to forget. I will not go into the details of the names of vice presidents now. It is too late. I can't sit down and memorize the names of the vice presidents or the speakers or the deputy speakers from scratch. If I happened to spend time understanding them or reading about them, I would definitely read it again. If I have already memorized it once, it will be there in my mind, so I will refresh it. I will not try to memorize something which I have not spent time in. I would go through the whole factual matrix of polity in its entirety. I will try to, but if I don't cover every subclause or every single criteria and every minute detail in the, for example, in the anti-defection law, what exactly are the criteria which qualify? If I don't remember all of them, I'm not going to sweat it. I know I cannot remember the whole of it. Very good if I have, but if I have not, remember that for this week, I am a Stoic. And Stoics don't worry about the minute details. They focus on the bigger picture and they focus on the goal. And that goal is to clear the exam only. In economics, again, this can be done in a relatively shorter amount of time. Now we are coming into the dynamic subjects. Economics is one of those dynamic subjects. Here, most of the questions will be from current affairs. They will be about what the policies of the government has been on various issues, on disinvestment in the public sector undertaking, on their policy on blockchain, on RuPay, on BHIM UPI. All these various things that have been ongoing are important to understand this, I know. Current affairs, which you have in your possession, current affair compilation, will cover economics. Economic survey is an important document. I think you should go through some selected chapters of economic survey, which I am sure your teachers and mentors have told you about. Economic survey, especially the more important sections, or even if you don't want to go through the entire chapters, try to capture the summary in the economic survey. Apart from that, you should know the basic conceptual understanding and framework of macroeconomics. You should know what is inflation, what is stagflation, what are the main, how does revenue deficit convert and translate to a good thing or a bad thing? Should there be more? Should there be less? These are very basic. I know your level is much higher, but I'm just trying to take you through everything just to be safe. Economics, most of it will be from the current affairs portion. The same thing holds true for environment. I would not spend time in reading any textbook of environment at this stage. I would only focus on environment, which is from the current affairs portion. I would do so as much as I can. I would read the portions of the environment. I would definitely go through any new policies or memorandums of understanding which the country has agreed to, or they have committed to zero carbon, or all of these commitments, etc. I will go through these policies for sure, because one of them or two of them are going to come. I would focus on details of any international events in environment, whether that is forest fires or that is the likely environmental impacts of El Nino, El Nina, whatever. I would focus on any news. In fact, I believe, and this is just an example, I believe I heard or read somewhere that the ozone layer has now reformed. It has healed itself. And there has been some improvement in that area. I would focus on things like these. I would focus on any report of the UNFCCC. I would focus on the predictions of the scientists when I believe the prediction is 2 degrees by 2050 is the tipping point or something. I would focus on those details because those are so fundamental details, so important, that they might just appear. Obviously, they will not ask you minute details about the levels of carbon dioxide or how much methane it is that we are pumping out into the atmosphere. This is not an exam for environment, but yes, anything which impacts everybody and where policy is involved, I will focus on that. Especially if there is something related to policy for the environment, I would focus on that. Definitely, I would focus on the flora and fauna side of it also. I would focus on any new reintroductions of any animals. I would focus on any new species which have been discovered. I would focus on any animal which has become endangered or which has become protected or which has been declared as important, right? The same fundamentals apply for science and technology. Science and technology, is going to come from the current affairs. There may be a question or two about basic application of science. What is the difference between Wi-Fi and Bluetooth? Although that is an outdated question. It is too outdated, it will not come. You will probably have some more sophisticated questions, perhaps about 5G. You may have some questions about recent discoveries. You may have a question about the James Webb telescope, but that's a very important thing which has happened. You may have questions about any new scientific missions launched by India. So science and tech, a very important subset of science and tech is science in India. How, if any, Indian scientists have achieved some recognition in international forums or received some awards, or if the Indian space program has done something, and your entire current affair ambit, which includes defense, I'm including in this. Any new developments of missiles or drone systems or surveillance systems, I am putting in this category. Okay, so that, because it's tech, it is the development of new tech, which ultimately ends up becoming weaponized. And so if it is weaponized, we just simply call it defense, but that just weaponized science is defense. So I would put it in this category. I would focus on all the important developments in science. I would focus on the Nobel Prizes. I would focus on why people have been given the Nobel Prizes. Last year, I believe there was a question about the black hole, and the black hole had been pictured, the first ever image of the black hole. I believe this year something similar has happened, and the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy, at the center of the Milky Way, I believe has also been captured. Scientists have been able to capture an image, which is virtually impossible. You can't capture an image of a black hole because it doesn't let light pass. So they did some technical wizardry and they captured it. I would focus on these landmarks, these achievements, which humanity combinedly, jointly celebrates. That covers how I would deal with the subjects. And before I finish, I understand a few questions you might have in your mind, so I'm preempting those questions. To test or not to test? Should you be giving tests right now? The answer is no problem in giving tests, but leave the judgment out of it. You will get some score of that test. Don't let that score turn into a prediction in your head about whether you are about to clear the exam or not, because you don't know if you are about to clear the exam or not. You don't know it. That's the fact. And there's no point predicting it. Like I said in my introductory remark, that for 1 week, we are becoming stoics. Stoics don't care about results. They are ready to weather anything that comes their way. We have an open mind right now. We will go into it with an open mind, with an open heart. If we give tests, maybe it is to sharpen your skills of test taking, maybe it is to revise, maybe it is to touch upon, but inevitably you give the test, the first thing you want to know is how many you got right, how many you got wrong. If you do that, but do that without judging or prejudging yourself, you would be prejudging, which is nothing but prejudice. Don't do that to yourself. Don't impose labels, don't impose expectations, don't impose any unnecessary stress, because stress right now is your enemy. As this week passes, and it will pass very quickly, you will not even realize that it has passed. It will pass rather quickly, and D-Day will come. What do you do on D-Day? First of all, and I've heard this, you must have heard it also multiple times, you need to get a good night's sleep. That is, I cannot tell you how many times I have made that stupid mistake and I have suffered because of it. The night before the exam, I typically have far too much excitement and anxiety. I'm unable to sleep. Bad idea. Every time I have not slept, my performance has suffered. My verbal fluency has suffered. I have made stupid mistakes which I have come to regret later that day. Don't do that. Get a good night's sleep. And when I say a good night's sleep, 7 hours minimum, 6 to 7 hours at least you should get, because remember that the day will be hectic. And I don't know about you, but the weather is incredibly hot at this time. It will drain you physically also. It's going to be a long day. You will need to have your energy levels up. You will need to have your brain stay alert. You will need to go through 2 exams. There will be a break in between. You need to be mentally aware and present and vigilant. Because like I said, in the exam, most of it is going to be error correction, right? And anxiety control, of course, is one very important element of the whole thing. How to do anxiety control? I don't know if you are familiar with meditation techniques, but I feel responsible to tell you as much as I possibly can, because this is the only interaction we will have before the exam. And I can walk you through a basic meditation technique very quickly if you want. It will take no more than 5 minutes and I can show it to you. You can do it and you can just repeat the process. So here is how it works. Whenever you want to control anxiety, and do it as a ritual. So do it once before leaving your home for the exam. You need to have 10 minutes set aside for it, only 10. Put an alarm or a stopwatch before leaving for the exam in the morning in your home. After you have done your morning breakfast and all of those things, sit for 10 minutes in a comfortable space where you can be left alone, and put on your 10-minute alarm. You may want to sit cross-legged, maybe you want to sit on a chair, but it is not recommended that you are lying down. At least that doesn't work for me. Supposing you are sitting on a chair, sit in an upright posture. In fact, you can do this now if you wish. Sit in an upright posture, and for a minute, close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you can focus and try to observe the sensations of your own body. You will notice that it feels like something when the chair touches your legs. You will feel when the chair touches your back, you may feel some anxiety in your shoulders, some tightness in your chest. As you do this for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and just focus on various sensations of the body. Maybe there is some pain somewhere. Maybe there is tightness. Maybe you take your attention to your stomach and you feel how it feels. Maybe it is full. Maybe it is too empty. You feel your breath. You divert your attention and take it to your breath, and you feel it going inside and coming out slowly, without any force, without any necessary energy being expended. You just experience it. And you keep trying to listen to this breath, and you try to track it. You try to follow it. You try to be with it. You will also notice, as you start to focus on your breath, that your body responds a certain way when the breath is going inside and when the breath is going outside. Your chest inflates, your stomach inflates, you feel the breath going in, you feel the coolness of it on your nostrils, you feel it coming out, and you just focus on this breath. Maybe your attention gets diverted and you start to drift off. Maybe you drift off in a dream. Maybe you start to daydream. Maybe you start to think about prelims. Maybe you start to think about the prelims results. Maybe you start to think about various things. Maybe you start to think about your admit card. If that happens, bring your attention back to the breath and come back and try to track it, try to observe it, and try to stay with it. And as you try that, invariably, your mind will get diverted again. When it does, you will not scold yourself, or you will not be angry with yourself. You will not at all reprimand yourself or castigate yourself. You will be nice to yourself. You will be loving to yourself. You will forgive yourself for being distracted. You will know that it is natural and normal for thoughts to go here and there, and you will bring it back to your breath. As you bring it back to your breath, maybe you will feel your pulse or your heartbeat. Maybe you will feel other sensations of the body. Let that happen. Every time your mind goes anywhere else, you bring it back to the breath. And you know that this breath, this incoming and this outgoing and this steady, ongoing, everlasting breath is always there. As you do this for 5 minutes or 7 minutes, you realize that you have calmed down. Your body has relaxed. Your mind is calmer. You no longer feel the anxiety. You no longer feel the tightness. You feel happier than you were 5 minutes ago. And you can come out of the practice now. You can come out of it now. This is the exercise which you can do once before going. And as you sit in the exam hall, as you sit in the examination hall that day, you can do this for 2 or 3 minutes. Sit there, and as long as they hand you over the paper, and as long as they allow you to open the question paper, you keep observing the breath. The longer you observe it, the calmer you will become. And when the question paper comes, start. Go in, but go in with a calm mind. I hope that will help you. I hope that that really will help you. It does definitely work for me. I hope that's helpful. I will quickly for in less than 5 minutes run you through a scientific mechanism, a scientific method to answer the paper. I will not go into details. I will not overwhelm you with information. I will simply tell you that as the question paper comes to you, you may have an impulse to go through it, and you may have an impulse to tick mark the question which you know. You will become very happy as soon as you see something familiar. You will just jump for joy. You will be very sad when you see a question which you don't know anything about. That is why you have been meditating. That is why you have forcefully calmed yourself down. Don't respond emotionally to it. And don't mark it in the paper in the first go. My recommendation, and what psychology is suggesting, is that when people take multiple choice question tests, when people take MCQ tests, if you mark the answers to the questions in the first go, and if you revise that question, the marks, you will spot around 5 to 10% silly mistakes. This is a constant replicated study in psychology. When test takers revise their answers in an MCQ test, their error rate goes down. You understand? So there is something very critical here. That means that when you decide, even if you know the answer, try not to mark it in a permanent way in your question paper. Mark it in the second round. If you revise your answers, you will likely make less mistakes. So try to first go through the question paper, figure out the ones you know. Maybe you mark it on the question paper, but don't mark it on the first go on the answer on the OMR sheet. Do that in the second round. 90% of the cases of your confidence will turn out to be true, but at times you may notice that option, I did not consider that option, that option C, that option D, it might be the correct answer. And that silly mistake, basically error reduction, will happen if you do this. I hope that these ideas have been useful to you. That is all I could possibly share with you in 50 minutes. I hope it has been useful, and I hand it over to Pujit and to Jobin sir for the remainder.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really a wonderful and very much helpful session for all of us. And the aspirants are eagerly waiting with some questions. So it's a great opportunity for them to interact with a great personality like you. So dear aspirants, you can ask your doubts, questions to Ravi Kapoor sir now. Yes, you can ask. I think Pujit is having one question. Pujit, you can ask the first question to Ravi Kapoor sir.
Hello, sir, I am audible.
Yes.
Yes. So some of the questions that we attend with elimination technique, and some of the questions that might be avoiding, skipping. So what kind of the questions that we can avoid to avoid the negative marks?
Okay. I recently did a detailed session on MCQ elimination techniques. It is based on some scientific principles, some research. It is, I think, a 30-minute session on YouTube. You can go over it. There is also an article in which I have listed all these ideas. But I will summarize the whole thing as much as I possibly can. But even otherwise, I will strongly recommend that you go over it once, because there are details which you don't want to miss in that protocol, in that program. So, as you go over the question paper, you will find that there are a few types of questions. The first round of you going over the question paper should be only to eliminate the wrong options which you think are wrong. Only eliminate. No correct answers are to be chosen. You are only eliminating wrong options. So if you have decided in one question that this is the right answer, so in the first round, instead of marking that, you are cutting the rest. That becomes the default answer. Such cases will be there, but such cases will be around 20-30%. The remainder, maybe you will be able to eliminate one option out of 4. Maybe you will be able to eliminate 2 options out of 4. Maybe you will be able to eliminate no options out of the 4. So if in a question you have not been able to eliminate any option, all of them are open, then that question is not to be attempted. You cannot and should not attempt that question even on a gut feeling, because of the mathematics of the negative marking. However, if you have eliminated one option, that means there are 3 possible answers to that question. In that case, it is worth exploring and it is worth answering. If you are able to eliminate 2, then it is definitely worth trying. Then you should not leave it. Then you should mark it. If you have eliminated 2 options, that is a question worth doing at all costs, because again of the mathematics of the negative marking. So say, for example, there are 10 such questions in which you have eliminated 2 options. That means, and if you attempt all of them, you attempted them based on some reasoning or some logic or some intelligent guessing or some technique, you answered. Compare that to a situation in which you left all such questions. Your marks in the first case will be higher because of the mathematics of negative marking. So if you have eliminated 2 options, it is worth answering. It is worth attempting. How you will attempt, depending on various factors, you can try. It is a little more detailed and sophisticated for options in which only one option has been eliminated. So 3 possible options remain and they are open to you, and you have been able to eliminate 1. So for that, please read that article. Please see that session. It's a detailed session. It contains some techniques which are important, which you can check out.
Thank you very much, sir. Next question is from Suvarna. Suvarna, now you can ask your question to Ravi Kapoor, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, my question is, if we decide to mark all the answers at the end of the exam, would that be sensible strategy? Like taking last 15 minutes to mark all the answers to our mark sheet?
No, it wouldn't be. So let me walk you through a timetable of possibly how it will go. You will get the question paper, you will get the OMR sheet. It will take about 50 minutes to 1 hour for you to read all the questions. Maybe it will take 1 hour, 15 minutes to do that elimination of all wrong options. Maybe at most, it should take 1 hour, 20 minutes. It's a 2-hour test. It is a 2-hour test. Correct, Pujit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
2-hour test. So in 2 hours, let there be 1 hour, 20 minutes or 1 hour, 15 minutes ideally for eliminating. Once you have eliminated, you can start marking. Start with the questions in which 3 have been eliminated. Obviously, mark those. As you go into a question, as you appear, the question appears, you have marked maybe 2. In the second round, mark the ones in which 2 have been eliminated. Each round should take around 15 minutes because you are going quickly. You are eliminating. You're only in the first round attempting questions which have only one option, in which you are confident, basically. As you go through the second round, you are attempting those in which you have eliminated 2. Make a quick decision about it, read it carefully, make a quick decision about it, mark it, go on, because we already know that all those questions you are marking, the ones with 2 open, you are marking those in the OMR sheet. Then you have to come back again. If there is no option which has been eliminated, all of them are open, you are not at all marking it. If 3 are open, you are spending time on it, you are deciding whether to attempt or not, you are making the decision and moving on. So ideally, there will be three rounds of you going through it. 3 rounds of going through it. Now again, I have to warn you, I have to be careful. This is not a strategy which is very common for somebody who has never tried. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with. But one thing that remains certain is, one, try to eliminate all options in 1 hour, 15 minutes maximum. Attempt all questions in which at least 2 have been eliminated. This is undisputable, no problem here. Apart from this, take a call depending on how you feel. If you can do multiple rounds of it, like I do, great. If you don't want to do those multiple rounds, in the second, you can write those. But I am not suggesting that you mark all of them in the last 15 minutes. That will increase your error rate. So we should not do that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very
Thank
much, sir, for your answer.
you.
Now, Arya, you can raise your question to Ravi Kapoor. Or others can ask your doubts to Ravi Kapoor, sir. Hepzibah Mangutam, do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask. Sharika, Devika Mahesh.
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
My question is, may I ask, sir?
Yes, please.
My question is, are there any other resources other than the printed notebooks for aptitude, sir, in your reference?
CSAT, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Yes. In fact, there are. With Jobin sir's permission, I will try to share it right now.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll try to share that file on the chat box. Give me a minute, please. Let me see if this works. I do have some suggestions. I am sharing this practice test for IELTS, for CSAT English. I am sharing a very large volume of tests of IELTS for English comprehension. This is perfect. Many tests are there. You can go over this. Apart from that, what I had done in my session, let me also share this. Are you able to receive these files? They are coming?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, okay. I will, now that I am sharing, let me, for math, I don't know if you are aware of brilliant.org. You are aware of this? Pujit obviously knows because I keep recommending it. Brilliant.org. Excellent website. Superb website. Here is a link which I am sharing. It is actually part of the navigator. This is the navigator. This, so basically, if you scan the QR code, this is CSAT. If you scan the QR code, then this link will open, the one I have sent you. It includes a lot of resources and many of them can be downloaded also. It will help you. Just go through this. Anyone who needs help with CSAT. Entire previous year questions and the way to figure out, it is all there. And also, I believe the sessions which are conducted on YouTube are embedded. So everything is on one page. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Dear aspirants, sir already authored 2 best-selling books. You can refer those books also. One is about essay writing, and the other one is about answer writing. So I suggest all the aspirants should bring these 2 books, and definitely it will help you for your preparation. So, any other doubts, dear aspirants? So it was a wonderful session with Ravi Kapoor sir. We are honored with your esteemed presence today, sir. We are sure that this session will definitely help them for their prelims examination on 5th of June. And we are very much thankful for you for spending an hour with us, because definitely it is going to help us all, sir. So on behalf of Absolute IAS Academy and aspirants community across Kerala, I express our sincere gratitude towards you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
We
you.
are
Thank
honored.
you very much. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
All the
Thank you
best,
so much.
Poojas. All the
Dear
best.
aspirants, you can unmute and express your thanks to
Bye.
Ravi
Thank
Kapoor
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Very, very kind.
Thank
Very
you,
kind
sir.
of you. All the best. All the best. Do well. Go into it with a calm mind. Don't worry about the results. And regardless of what happens, this is true. Prelims 22 is going to be good for you. There is no question about that. Even if the result is not in your favor, those who enter into this exam and those who have the courage to go in the exam hall are already different from normal people. So that is already to your credit. Okay. I wish you all the best, and I will try to do what I can for you in the coming days. All the best to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.